So today we're talking about the basics of herbalism and what you need to know. Basically, all I wanted to really address today was that there are some core routines that I emphasize before you go down the supplement route. So before you turn to a supplement or look for a holistic health solution or a natural solution or an herb, because I've worked, I had a job where I was in an interface where I talked to the public every single day and had hundreds of conversations a week about herbs, right? And so I have a lot of data to prove how people kind of navigate this choice making and how they come to make these decisions and or look for their options. And generally people would come to the counter and they'd say, I can't sleep. They tell me the problem, the pain point, and that they would like a natural solution for it. So before you go down that route of just like trying to find one thing, I would actually instead say the basics of herbalism are to actually build self-sustaining routines at home and to build some process and some systems around learning and practicing herbs. So this is a really good segue from yesterday's conversation about belief and about constructing a mental reality of what you like things to look like for your health and for your life. So now we're talking about the physical things, right? The things that when you do them, you're and doing them repeat, right? They're around you, reinforcing your new belief system. It becomes evidence that you are on a more holistic path. It takes time, but fortunately, you can start one thing at a time, one cup of tea at a time, one gardening project at a time. Hey, Angel, welcome back. And of course, this is going to be saved and it'll be able for replay throughout the week. This is an event called Become an Herbalist, and I'm Laura Baum, founder of Laura's Botanicals, a Richmond, Virginia based company, so USA. And we've been doing clinical herbalism and holistic lifestyle coaching for the last decade. Okay. So let's talk about that shift again. The shift is going from, oh, I need this to fix this, to reduce these symptoms, to let's create a routine that reinforces the activity so that you can create the sustainable structure that you need for holistic living. So it's reinforcing itself, if that makes sense. Because people would come to me and they'd want something, then they were like, oh, now I have to actually make the tea. Oh, what do I do with these herbs? Oh, how long do I take them? Hey, so there's natural questions that occur when you start something new. And when you start something new, it's best to have that kind of support to be able to help with those questions as they naturally occur. So when you learn the basics of herbalism, it's not getting all the books, although books are great. They're great to reinforce it. But if you have a system where you use the book strategically, it's going to make a lot more sense. Then it's not piling up in your life and like you're like, oh, I got all this stuff and now it was a hobby and I don't never really did it, right? I get that a lot from people. Or I got that tool and I don't even know why I got it because I've never used it before. So when you have a system in place, there's less waste. There's less waste. Because you're using things strategically, you know what to prioritize in your health and your lifestyle. It's goal driven and it's strategic. So you know the outcome that you're trying to get to, and you reverse engineer it back to the starting point, right? You have a ladder with many rungs, and at the very top of that ladder is where you want to go and be ideally, but you have to figure out how to get all those little steps up to that point. And the routines are critical. So again, before you go and choose a new supplement or research or go to a tea shop and say, I need this for blank, I would like you to actually create some structure at home and create some routines. So here are the things that you want to do. There are three things. One, you want to start a garden. Okay. And I talk about gardening all over my Substack. I shared a fall gardening how-to guide last week, and it includes an awesome PDF with my favorite seed catalogs, my favorite YouTube blogs and books, and different articles about gardening. It has some really specific gardening tips for growing fall plants, so things to extend your season and to get more plants year long that you've grown yourself. And of course, there's functionality to gardening. You're getting the herbs and the food that you need for your own body. It's clean, it's organic, it's locally grown, but you also are connecting to growth itself. So we talked yesterday about awe, reverence, curiosity. connection to nature and to Gaia, right? This principle of spiritual development, which is key in healing. And it's not talked about a lot. This connection to spirituality is vital for overall holistic health. And that's a huge differentiator between herbalism and other forms of holistic medicine, like functional medicine or naturopathic medicine, right? We're really embracing a direct connection to nature itself. We use the plants that we grow to make the herbal medicine, right? Raw, whole plants. Starting a garden has a culture to it. It's a representation of who you are. It is watching the stages of phases of growth, which helps you innately. It's mentally healing. It has a somatic growth potential. It has the ability for you to go out both practically and also through symbolism and metaphor. It is a space that you can bring others into and create around. So a garden is that crucial pillar, a crucial routine for becoming an herbalist, but also to connect to herbalism itself, to seeing life and death, to see that cycle, to connect you to the resources that you need. Having your own garden too is connecting to local growers, other farmers in your area. It is connecting to your neighbors and seeing who can grow what this year. Other herbalists. You're not going to always do your own medicine. Sometimes someone else will, and you can trade and make a local commerce, a local economy, a local network, which is what I did here in Richmond. We didn't have one, so I created one, which is my suggestion for all of you. If you're in an area where there's not a lot of people, just put out a flyer and invite people to start doing this together. Seed sharing, pollinators, supporting the local native plants. All of these projects and all of these intentions are very important for not just your health, but the health of your community, living people and animals and insects and mushrooms, right? So community and seeing a vision of community also helps us heal. One of the blue zone factors, so people who live the longest in the world and live the best in the world with vitality and longevity, they are not taking supplements. They're not running huge races. They're not optimizing their health and doing saunas and cold breeze baths, right? They might be doing that in small subliminal amounts, but that's not the focus. The focus there is intergenerational healing. It's mixing older people and younger people. It's gardening their own food. It's a sense of community and purpose, driven by community. And that's what herbalism can provide, and the garden can provide specifically. The next basic pillar of herbalism and of holistic healing, again, not just going and trying to fix the problem acutely, but create systems for long-term management and stress reduction, is to create an effective herbal workspace in your home or your actual office or at your school or in your car. It can be small. And this is a physical space which contains a binder of your research. It contains evidence of what you're working on written, and it also has the herbs itself that you're using for your health. So it's a blend of herbal medicines that you're focusing and prioritizing right now based on your current health needs and health focus. I definitely recommend keeping a binder and keeping structure, some physical written structure. And of course, it's all based on a current health focus that you're needing to do right now. So for example, herbs for lung health, herbs for late summer, herbs for seasonal transition, herbs for immune health. This takes that whole world of herbalism and makes it super focused, right? Because you're not focusing on everything at once. You're focusing on one specific area, and you're building your apothecary, you're building your garden around that theme for a certain time set. Once you've mastered that particular health focus, or you feel like you've eased the problem on your own, that's when you build a new space and a new garden or a new focus around a new theme. Okay. So instead of trying to just understand all the terminology and all of the herbal books and just stacking more herbal information and basically filling your brain all the time with, oh gosh, that is so interesting. It's saying, I'm going to take practice and take action on this specific focus. And the last thing, I'm going to keep it kind of short today, but I wanted to give one more thing. One more basic of herbalism, again, is making your own herbal medicine. Okay. So herbal medicine is using whole plants versus like parts of plants that have been synthesized or made synthetic or using capsules only. So it's the process of actually like drying plants, tincturing plants, and making things with plants. So to get really good with herbal medicine making, we'll be focusing on that tomorrow in tomorrow's session. But you want to be making your own salves, your own balms, your own tinctures, your own teas. That in itself is so healing because, again, you're seeing the phases of the product as it's being produced in front of you within the space, your herbal effective workspace. So those are the basics of herbalism. It's connecting to the source directly, and it's creating the regimens and the systems around it so that you can tap in at any time that you need to for health. So I'm keeping it short for today, but tomorrow we'll go into herbal medicine making. And I look forward to that conversation with you. If you have any questions, send them to me via DM message here on Substack. And again, make sure to go and find that fall garden article that I wrote. I also wrote another gardening article previously to that about why gardening is such an important source for your healing. There's lots of actual academic literature around why gardening is therapeutic and how it builds resilience, and kind of some ideas how you can create some design around your garden space. Like if you want to have a garden for neurodivergent learners, like how to make it more sensory driven. Or if you want to have a garden that's for dementia. So how to make a garden appropriate to the community you're serving and to the health focus that you're working on. Does that make sense? Right? So you're like taking this whole big thing, which is there's a lot of information, right? And you're going to create some structure around it so that when you implement it, it just gets put into the space it gets put into. So, for example, in your effective herbal workspace, you'll have a binder, and the binder will be organized based on the themes you're focusing on, and the information will fit into each of those themes, right? So, if you're focusing on lung health, respiratory health, you'll actually write about the herbs that are good for the lungs, and those will fit into the theme section of your herbal binder. And that binder is a part of your herbal workspace and how to make it effective. So, in order for things to be effective, what do we have to do? We have to have a system and we have to have time. And that's one of the biggest complaints I get from people. I don't have time. I don't have time. So we'll make the time. We'll schedule out the time together, create some structure for you, and we'll only take a little bit, right? We're making unmanageable goals. If we're saying, I'm going to do this, but then I have no idea how to make the first step, that's when you reach out to someone like me because I can help you create some organized, methodical practice and help you create some accountability, visibility, and goal setting for your actual practice. So that's what I do with holistic lifestyle coaching in my program, Everyday Herbalism Fast Track. People are reaching out to me and saying, you know what? I'm ready to take that valerian tincture. But you know what? Now I don't know what to mix it with. Or, you know what? I'm focusing on sleep right now. And so I'm creating my herbal binder and I've done this research, but now I'd like a little bit of clarity as to when it's best to take it for my body or when I should take this before I work or after. Do I do a powder? Do I do this? And so I'm there to help with those answers, but I'm also there to help people reconnect to the basics of herbalism, to the gardening and to the herbal workspace. They are regimens in their lives and the seasonal attunement piece. When we are, again, connected to nature and connected to our mindfulness and to our mindset, we're more prepared internally to have our own compass and our own voices saying, gosh, it's fall. Kids are back at school. I feel the need to start taking more pumpkin, right? So everyone's talking about pumpkin right now. Pumpkin chai, pumpkin coffee. There's a reason for this because the season interacts with our own innate self and it says, ooh, it's time. I'm excited. It's time to think about new. It's time to prepare my body differently for what is being presented in nature. That's not something to ignore. That is our own body's intelligence saying it's time to pay attention to our routines a little bit differently and to create different structure because some things that were prioritized in summer are not as important in the fall. There are things to fundamentally support differently in our bodies through foods and through herbs. And so that's why this system is so effective because you're tapping into methodical routines that everybody in the family can enjoy and get part of. So, do you have any questions? Go ahead in the chat and let me know. But that is our session for today. It's quite simple. The basics of herbalism is getting more simple. It's not putting on more. It's not getting 100 supplements. It's not getting more and more powders. It's not looking at a post and saying, I need that. That's my problem. I've gotten a lot of that feedback before. Like, oh, that's my problem. That's what I need to do. Oh, yeah, that's my problem. I need to do this. I need to do that. But then they're on too many things and there's no balance. There's no priority. There's no understanding as to really the root cause as to what they should focus on first. So, what we need to do is first work on that mindset, start the routines, start the garden, start the herbal workspace, choose a theme, build around that theme, and allow yourself to feel the results. Okay. That's the basis of herbalism. So if I have a binder, my binder now has several themes concurrent to one another. And after I've done one and I've moved on to another, I can go back, right? In a few months, I can say, oh, you know what? My lungs feel a little bit rough now in the springtime. I was working on that in late summer. In between then, I focused on my reproductive health. I focused on my hormones. But now I'm going to go back and revisit lung health. And it's going to be like you were there before. So you have the work in front of you that you've already done. It's building on what you've already accomplished. We're all in our own journeys. We've all already tried different tools and different mechanisms for our self-healing, right? And that's beautiful. We need to tap into what we've already accomplished. We need to tap into what we've already learned and build upon it. Most of us are not starting from scratch. Most of us are starting from a foundation or several foundations all over the place. So it's important to figure out from a bird's eye view, objectively, which things do I nourish next? What in the garden do I need to focus on? What needs to be grown this year? What needs to be watered? What needs to be harvested, right? Harvest is the most beautiful, bountiful time. It's saying the work has been done. It's time to replenish and get into that gardening mindset, right? That cyclical mindset of, harmony, of peace, that's what nature is. The cycles of the ocean, the cycles of nature. It's an innate peace that we're all designed to feel. But we have intentionally built other things, other systems that are interruptive to that. And they're detrimental to our health. Stress is the driver of chronic illness. 1 in 3 people have chronic illnesses. Most people with autoimmunity are women. And that's probably because of hormonal loops that are unique to women. That's the current research, okay? And our bodies keep the score. We've heard that before. So, meaning if you have a virus from a few years ago, from your childhood, it might not have been cleared in the body. And the body sometimes will start to activate if another virus comes in, right? It reactivates the body's innate intelligence saying, oh, I have dealt with this before. I'm going to do it again. I need to get things going and move in the direction, which can create inflammation. Okay. It can create undesirable symptoms. But understand the body both through your own research and through your own self-confidence and your own testing is how you're going to get to be a better herbalist, because you're going to say, oh, well, on the last time I did this, I took this herb. And I know that because I wrote it down in my binder. I can look at that. I can reference it. It's a working space. And that's very unique to herbalism. Most of our knowledge is passed down anecdotally, meaning through conversations, right? Ancient medicine. It was logged in manuscripts. It was logged in books. And so you have that capability too to track and to sustain your own practice through that record keeping and through the sharing that you can do. And that's what's so unique about it. We're not all supposed to be just given something and sent home to do it. That gives a lot of questions. Instead, this could improve even those things. So if you went to a functional medicine practitioner and you had a system in place at home, you're going to be a lot more effective with their treatments that you purchase. They're usually very high cost because you can implement it and take the information and put it into your system, right? So that's why we created Everyday Holistic. It's a methodology, and it's the ability to, again, control and support the outcomes, create self-sovereignty and self-reliance. Well, thank you so much. Again, if you have any more questions, put them in the chat. Otherwise, tomorrow, herbal medicine making like a pro, the things you need to know. I'll get into best materials, best supplies, where to get them, kind of like the ins and outs, the pros and cons of each of the methods, why people prefer one thing over another, and also kind of like more practical, nature of herbal medicine, like, when to take a certain thing, depending on the circumstances that are presented. Okay. Um, I also, you know, do know there's a lot of conversation around herbal medicine versus RX. RXs do deplete a lot of nutrition, so I won't be going into interactions tomorrow or what gets depleted in the body in RX prescriptions or pharmaceuticals versus herbs. But just to understand that most herbs are super nourishing. And so they're driving a lot of different things in the body. They don't go one pathway, they go multiple pathways. Okay. And so we're thinking about slow build to help our body innately work better because our body already does what it's supposed to do, right? There are things that our body does that we don't think about, right? We don't consciously create the mechanisms. The body already does the work for us. So supplying it with more nutrients, more minerals, more of the things that most people need naturally, it's a great place to start when it comes to herbal medicine making and taking, right? Food, herbs and that are nourishing in our bodies. You can get more strategic and you should. And I think it gets less overwhelming when you have a binder and you're able to track your use, right? If you took a tincture for 1 week and then reflected on how it went and then did that for second week, third week, 4 week, you'll be able to see that slow evolution. You'll be able to track yourself and say, you know what? I liked the way my body felt on this tincture. I'm going to keep it going. Or the opposite, right? I didn't like how this felt. I didn't like how I don't see much change. And I know that I should by now. I'm going to adjust it. So it's paying attention. It's not saying to someone, you know what, you're the boss and I'm going to do this for my body. It should work. No, we should still have some sense of, I hate using the word control, but a little bit of different, maybe a synonym of control, right? Like a little bit more self-navigating because it's putting a little bit less pressure on the practitioner, which I know we live in a world where the practitioner's the boss, but innately we have our own decisions and our own intuition. And I think it's very important to pay attention to those things. Like we see with the Lindsay Clancy case. I mean, that's a huge, profound case. I've been watching that, for the last few weeks, and it really does seem there was a break between practitioners. It was like a break between advocacy. And so I'm posing something different, right? I'm posing something very different. Good. I'm glad this was practical for you. Breaking down a smaller level, yes. Overwhelmed with details, yes. Overwhelmed. It's a very overwhelming thing, especially with the conversation with like, my doctor told me to be on this, and I don't know if this is going to support me too, or if it's going to like counteract, if it's going to be neutralize the effects of one or the other. That's when it's a good time to reach out to a clinical herbalist and we can have a conversation, do a consult or a deeper intake understanding of the biochemistry of the herbs, of the pharmaceuticals, and how they possibly could interact because we are trained in that ability to know those things. But I will also suggest that it fits in a system where we're already taking a little bit more ownership over the lifestyle because no matter where you start with a naturopathic physician or functional medicine practitioner, any other holistic health practitioner, they will always say start with lifestyle. Start with lifestyle because the lifestyle is the space that supports the basic food and nourishment for your body to thrive on. So reducing the stress as well is crucial. And yes, I'm always happy to break these concepts down. So I just give my system away and I'm there to help people with the implementation in my everyday herbals and fast track. So my gardening guides here on Substack has all the gardening information that you need to start your garden, even if it's just a few plants. I started my garden with a sage plant and a rosemary plant in a little pot on the door of my apartment in Richmond, my first apartment in Richmond. And it was so gratifying. But I quickly moved on to, community gardening and having a whole row of plants, right? Because I was so obsessed. And the plants bring in different flavors, different feelings. I'm sorry, I got a couple flies that came in through the door, so I'm sorry if you see flying bugs. And yes, I have some herbs on my wall. Always got some things drying, some living plants. This is my herbal workspace right here. It's an apothecary hutch. But you don't have to have it be this big. It could be a small little box on your table. But again, the pieces are a binder, an actual space that you can create some structure around. I've had some clients recently who had challenges with that because of kids or just being in the way. So they have like a rollaway cart or something that comes out when they're intentionally creating time and space for their herbal work. And the same for your gardening. It's time and space for your gardening. It's time and space in your schedule to do the activities so that you can, again, create and have evidence of your holistic lifestyle that you are now creating. The alternatives to this are depending on people give you answers, and they're usually quick and they're not within context, right? At a tea shop or an herb shop, right? I want to give more context because when someone comes in and says, I can't sleep, I'm like, I've got more questions for you, right? Like, if you come in and say, I can't sleep, one tea is not going to help. I got to talk about your, like a detective. I have to figure out other clues as to what might tell me from my own clinical knowledge and my own work in my theme books, right? As to what could have created that situation to begin with. So there's lots of reasons, root causes for the symptoms that we're having. And so when we focus on those things and figure out what those things are, we can support ourselves so fast within 30 to 90 days, really, because you have the knowledge and you're putting it to use. Yeah. The other alternatives are going to a doctor who has a holistic leaning or going to a holistic practitioner. So holistic practitioner, there's quite a few different modalities. There's muscle testing, kinesiology, homeopathy, physical therapy falls under holistic, which is still a technical doctor, a doctorate of physical therapy. Chiropractors, which again are licensed practitioners, acupuncturists, traditional Chinese doctors, traditional Chinese medicine doctors, reflexology, massage therapy are licensed. And a lot of licensing is required for Chinese medicine as well, and lab dispensing. And then you go functional medicine practitioners, gut health practitioners. They might just call themselves gut health practitioners. Holistic health coaches, herbalists, clinical herbalists. So there's quite a gamut of people who fall under alternative medicine or holistic health medicine. Are there any others that I forgot? Because there's quite a few, right? Somatic work, so somatic healers, nervous system healers, Reiki, energy healing, flower essence practitioners. There's quite a gamut, quite a lot of people who have distinct modalities. Aromatherapists. I love aromatherapy. And so what I'm saying is that instead of having the specific focus on one or the other or saying one's better than the other, you can have multiple tools. They can all fit under a theme that you're focusing on. So for example, under my theme for lung health, are there essential oils that are helpful to the lungs? I'd write that down in my theme. Are there herbs specific for lung health? I'd put that under my theme. What blends are great for lung health? Under my theme in my herbal focused workbook, in my herbal workspace that I work in and make the teas in, right? Does that all make sense? It connects the space to a physical practice, to activities that are informed by your goals. And that's how you hit the goals. And then you can build upon it when you need it. All right. Yeah, I am a very practical herbalist. There would be no way it would work otherwise, especially as someone who has dealt with autoimmunity now for quite some time, about 12 years, myself. And what's really great about Everyday Herbalism Fast Track is you're not just hearing from me. I bring in guest practitioners every month to do interviews or to actually give activities to support the clients on the things they actually say they need. We check in directly every week with some mentorship moments and some helpful activities to keep them on board and keep them active. And then we share our system methodology, which is a little bit more advanced or a little bit more in depth than this conversation poses. If you want to join, we're in our founding members launch. It's $20 a month. Everyday Herbalism Fast Track is. cancel at any time. And it's just a no-brainer. It's a wonderful way to have an herbalist in your corner to answer your questions as they naturally occur. And there's also a second herbalist now too. So we've got a team of 2 herbalists who are there to answer your questions directly and give you support throughout the week. We have clients with autoimmunity, clients who are with chronic illness, but we also have clients with stress or hard work. Everybody in our program actually are hard workers, are working quite a lot with needing flexible schedules. So we're there as they need them, and we create the consistency, but we also are listening to what they need when they need it. All right, so I'll follow up with you all. This replay will be available all week here on Substack. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for Herbal Medicine Making Like a Pro. Have a good one.